Good evening, Zechariah A Jackson, Basa News. We're back here in Newark, and I want to talk to Munirah.
Munirah Bomani.
Okay, and I'm talking to Munirah Bomani about the water problem in Newark. We talked in May, I believe it was.
Yes.
May, it was very hot, and Lincoln, was it Lincoln Park?
Lincoln Park, yeah.
Yes. So, Munirah, yeah, it was very warm. Where are we at now? We in the beginning of October. It's October 11th today?
Yes.
Okay, October 11th. So where are we at with the water problem? Where, have the city progressed? What's going on?
Well, guess what? It's all over the news that they have now received funding sources to abate the lead.
Okay.
Which they received, of course, the $120 million from a bond loan from the county exec, who finally stepped up to the plate, because it was a massive community outcry about just fixing this lead problem and debating this problem for a long time. But somebody finally stepped up to the plate.
So do you look at that as a sign of success for the city?
Well, we got to see. I mean, we don't have no success rates. We just know that their pipes are being replaced.
Okay.
But we don't know if these pipes that's being replaced, number one, first of all, there's no oversight.
Sure.
And also, there's no scientific data that is the pipes replacement that they're doing now are solving the problem.
Well, let me ask you this right here, Munirah. Have you ever seen a water pipe? Like my idea of a water pipe is that copper pipe that was in my basement years ago, the one that we soldered together for the water to go through. What actually do a Newark, not so much a Newark water pipe, but what do a water pipe look like? Is it big as this room? Is it,
No, it's actually a small, probably like the size of a quarter, a long pipe, maybe.
And it feeds all through the city?
And it goes from the...
Have you actually seen a water pipe?
Well, I actually seen the one, the line that they show on a diaphragm. Being that I'm not into the plumbing, even though I'm into construction.
Right.
The only pipe I actually witnessed is the one that they show
from the house to the regular to the street pipe.
It's from the house to the street.
Okay, but you've never seen actually that street pipe.
No.
Okay. That's what I would like to know. I mean, if they are replacing the pipes, then everybody should know it, because those pipes are, I believe, that are quite big. To feed the cities or whatever, they must be real large. I'm interested. So if you know anyone that's doing construction on the actual water pipe, not the extension pipe from the main line to your house, let me know. I would just like to take a look at it.
Well, as a person who's in construction, I'm a female tradesperson.
Okay.
I've seen plumbers.
Sure.
And I've seen so-called pipes.
Sure.
That they actually soldered through HVAC and a plumbing program that I went through, the training.
Sure.
And I assume that those is about the size of a quarter, or maybe a half a dollar. Is the type of pipes that they talking that's under the ground.
Sure.
Because it basically looked the same as there is on the diagram. If you go look at on the city's website, they show you a diagram, a diaphragm, or diagram of a pipe that's leading from the homeowner's house to the main water source from outside. So it appears to be the same size as what I'm talking about.
Well, we want to get a little bit more information on that so we can have some clarity.
But maybe we should get a lead service line.
Or no, to actually find out where, to really look at the pipes that's really under the ground, that's been under there since 1897 or 1886 or whatever it has been. and to actually look at, I really would like to take a look at that
Yeah.
pipe that transport the water throughout the city. So, okay, have everybody stepped up, because before we were at a point where there were people that you didn't think that stepped up at all, that they were holding back, and I said, can you blame administration that wasn't even born yet, when the pipes was laid, but.
Well, I don't really think that's the issue is blaming an administration that wasn't born yet.
Mm-hmm.
It was just that now that you are in the administrative position.
Sure.
Okay, this situation is in your hands.
Sure.
And it's talk about pointing the blame from other administration
Sure.
to other administration. And like I said on the last broadcast that we did, Ras Baraka was deputy mayor under Sharp James administration.
Sure.
So, but the issue here is with this situation, with this administration, is that they said that the water was good.
Sure.
And that's why people is really kind of like upset
Right.
about, because it was no actual, transparency, or the information wasn't clear.
Sure.
They was just like, just telling people, I guess, what they wanted the people to hear.
Yeah.
Okay, and that was what was really actuality.
Or the information that they had at that point in time.
Well, it could have been that,
It
but
could've
they
been
said they
that.
had, it's
Right,
information out there that's saying that they knew.
That they knew.
So I mean,
okay.
the whole thing is that just saying that you did
Sure.
and taking responsibility, and then apologizing for your wrong messaging
Sure.
and moving forward.
Have you seen any apologies? Have you seen anything where people say, I made a mistake, I misspoke or whatever? Have you heard anything like that?
We haven't seen none of that in sight.
Wow.
And that's why people are still, upset, because, nobody don't want to take accountability.
Sure.
Somebody needs to step up and take accountability,
Sure.
because guess what? The years that the lead service infrastructure was in need of repair,
Mm-hmm.
and then the time frame where the levels went up under certain people's
Sure.
administration, somebody had to know.
I had no sign.
Okay, but
Okay.
guess what? Nobody want to take accountability.
How do you feel at this point of challenge where the water now, they stopped giving out bottled water?
To me,
Should it be now, or should we wait to the end of the year?
well, I say it should continue until all the lead service lines is number one replaced,
Mm-hmm.
and also once we get scientific data
Sure.
that we are at a zero level,
Mm-hmm.
because as you already know that there's no safe level of lead.
That's right.
They want to go by the federal, and we also talked about the federal throughout our last broadcast,
that's
that
right.
they needed to do more in raising the standards.
Sure.
Okay. Okay.
Because the way it's actually presented is that there's a certain amount of lead that we can
Yeah,
have.
we can have. We can ingest. So it's
We can
okay.
ingest, yeah.
You say that people, and I can't understand how, if they're saying, and doctors
Sure.
are actually saying that no safe levels of lead
lead at all.
in
Yeah,
a
sure.
person's body.
Sure.
Okay, so why are you agreeing
That
with,
is a certain-
okay, it's all right that we have 10%,
That's right.
10 pipes per billion? It sounds kind of like,
it's quite comical
you know,
for them to come
so,
out like that.
Is this actually sad?
Yeah.
Is because to know that folks that you elected into position
Sure.
to represent you, on every level of government.
Sure.
Because this is not, we just not pointing a finger at this administration.
Right.
Okay, we talk about every level of government.
Clean house,
Okay,
like-
and not only that, the people who are supposed to be the individuals who are doing the testing, like
Sure.
the Department of Environmental Protection should be held liable. The New Jersey Environmental Protection Agency should be held liable.
Sure.
And also the federal
Yes.
So
with all of them involved, how would we charge them? How would we, demand a good work? I guess, if lack of work.
Well, we should have, first of all, I don't know why civil rights lawyers and advocates are not really
jumping on this
thing. I don't know why leaders such as our black so-called leaders like Al Sharpton and Larry Hand from People Organization for Progress, why these civil rights groups are not coming and addressing this in full force.
Well, I would say this right here about Al Sharpton, that I have the honor of being on Hawthorne Avenue at the Nan Center about a month and a half ago, and Dr. Sharpton showed up, and he actually gave out water.
Yeah, I seen it.
Okay.
Yeah. I wasn't present, and give thanks for any effort. Any effort.
And that's what he said. He said more reverends should come across the river. And more people should be on board, because this right here is dealing with the constituents in the community.
And there got to be some kind of consistency
sure.
until this thing is done. But I want to give the utmost and pay much respect to the pastors who stepped forward to give out water, and if any of them gave out water filtration, I want to give thanks for their effort.
Sure.
I definitely want to give thanks for the Reverend Jethro, who is on this consistently every day.
Wow.
Every day. Trailers coming every day. Okay? Continuing to give out water.
Sure.
Okay? Finding out what they can do to provide point of entry filtration system, which is the best solution right now until the residents get this whole situation abated.
Sure.
We need filtration systems, and that was one of our demands when we came and we addressed the council and we addressed our list of demands when we established the Newark Water Coalition. That was one of our list of demands, is that we demand water filtration systems until this system is abated, this situation is abated.
Sure.
Because it's not only replacing the lead service lines. Okay, once you replace them, it's still some of the parts and the solders are still lead based.
Sure. So the whole system basically need to be changed.
Right.
Wow.
Right. So until they change the whole system, until we at a level where there's no lead and no other contaminants, because we also have other contaminants as well in our water.
Okay.
There's acid, and there's high levels of acid in our water. There's benzene, there's chlorine in the water. So we need filtration systems, and that seems to be the only solution to the pollution, as we talked about when we addressed it in the last broadcast.
When you say filtration systems, are you talking about a personal one at your house, or are you talking about actually a big system that the city, the water company should develop, that all the water goes through, or are you just talking about a personal one that I would have in my house, you would have in your house?
Well, a point of entry is, hitting, before it enter the whole system.
Sure.
The whole lead service line.
So that's basically.
And then the filtration systems that are attached to a person countertop sink, on a countertop, or they have a system where you can attach them and under the counter.
Sure.
And before it even go through the water system is being cleaned right then and there.
Sure.
Through the carbon filters. So we definitely need that. We got various different other contaminants in the water, and some of those water filtration systems abate something like 60 to 70 different contaminants. So I think it's the best solution.
Let me ask you this right here, Munirah. If tomorrow, or let's just give it a little time, if January was actual set time to vote for the politicians in the city of Newark, is there any that you would vote for in January 2020? pertaining to?
Well, first of all, I don't see a breath of new leadership,
Okay.
which is another issue in itself.
Sure.
Okay, I haven't seen none of the individuals who are seasoned status quo leadership even trying to develop new and emerging leaders.
Sure.
Am I satisfied with the leadership that we have?
Yes.
And would I vote for any of them that's in office right now?
Yes.
That's an absolute no.
Wow.
You know, absolute no. Like as I always said, we are in a state where there's failed leadership, failed government on every level of government. And it's just sad. And I think that we need to, at this present time, as community residents of
Sure.
this community, we need to be identifying and cultivating new leadership.
I'm glad you said that right there, cultivation of new leadership. During the mayor election, the mayor had his, the final day at the Robert Treat Hotel.
Mm-hmm.
Gail Cheneyfield Jenkins had hers on Broad Street at the Gold Doors, the building with the gold doors, you know, down on Broad Street.
I think it was 744.
Something like that, yes. I mean, you can't miss it. The doors have been gold for 1,000 years, you know, and anybody have something there, people recognize for the gold doors. Well, the gold doors are closer to Broad Street than Robert Treat Hotel. Of course, you got to turn in for Robert Treat. And I was covering Gail Cheneyfield election that day, that night. You know, and I seen the curiosity of many people that drove up and looking out their window, seeing the excitement that was going on, you know, wondering how they could be a part of it. But traditionally, they're not from the city, you know, but then I seen that spark in their eyes, like, you know what, maybe this is a place we need to move, you know. And you know, some walked up, some came in the car, and one whole family, which was so strange. As I was waiting for Gail to come to the headquarters that night, a whole family, they all looked out the same window together. You know, the car was in park right there on Broad Street, you know, and they all looked like all the faces was looking out the window, seeing the excitement of who's going to be the next mayor. I bring that point to say this right here. Most of our politicians are homegrown. They've been here. We know them some kind of way. You know, we know of them from some kind of way. Are we ready to maybe in 3 to 4 years to elect a new arrival? People that would probably move in, because there are people now moving into the city of Newark from everywhere. And where traditionally I'm focused on looking at a politician that reflects me, that looks like me, whether skin color, brown or whatever, black or what have you. Are we prepared? Are we ready to actually elect someone else from someplace else? That's in Newark, that's, let's say, if they moved in Newark 3 years ago, time the election day is 6, 7 years.
Well, of course, you said something that we want to elect someone that look like us. But guess what? In actuality, it's been folks that look like us that have us in the worst conditions than we ever could be in under black leadership.
Sure.
And it's just sad.
Sure.
And it's just sad in me, and I'm quite sure it's sad in you as well.
Sure.
You know, because we want to have someone who is from our melanated skin color of African descent, who's representing us at a quality level. And it might be a good thing. You know, if there was someone who just arrived, okay, because we got to stop this, because we already conditioned, okay, to this status quo stuff and folks that look like us, okay, and always thinking that those individuals gonna have our best interests at heart.
But
It's a great thing if they are that type of
people
cut from that type of cloth.
Sure.
But I think we should give new energy.
But I'm really pulling from not so much that perhaps they would be a different race or whatever, but are we prepared for someone that even look like us or have, as you put it, our melanated skin tone and things of that nature that's from someplace else? That's what
Well, I think first we should.
Could we do that? Could we actually do that? Are there outsiders that could come here, that's here, that we consider outsiders? Or is everybody in the house, if you know what I mean? You understand the point?
Listen.
The point that I'm drawing is that the people that I've seen come up in front of that Yale Jenkins headquarters at night, some look like other people, some were other people, but some look like us. But we don't know them. You understand my point I'm making? That they look just like us, but perhaps they were from someplace else. And they figured out, hey, you know what? I like what's going on in Newark and I want to become a part of it. And, maybe they moved here a month after or 2 months after. And maybe in the next mayor election or whatever, city council election, maybe they're trying to run. Can we elect someone that's not from genuine from Newark? Can we
That's the problem with Newark residents. It's always about popularity and who's in a clique and who you know and all that type of stuff. And that's the mindset we got to get out of.
Sure.
Because guess what? People who don't know me, see, I seen you around, right?
I've seen you around.
And
I've seen you around 20 years ago.
And guess what? you try to put me out there more than some of the people that's supposed to be my friends someone who's supposed to be fond of me.
Sure.
And we never had no type of fondness the way we is, but you seen something in me.
I see your
right?
energy. I see your energy. Yes.
So that's what I'm getting at is that you never know.
Yes.
You never know. And individuals who are outside of this community show me more love and show me more interest
than the people right here. Yes.
And they honor and appreciate my advocacy, my activism, and see, but guess what? My own community.
Sure.
Just like with the alternative lifestyle community.
Sure.
Okay, where back in the day, activism, we had Audre Lorde, we had Bear Rustin, we had certain individuals who was out there in the civil rights era, revolutionary mind.
Sure.
And look at me. I don't get embraced that well by my own community.
Sure.
And it's sad.
Yes. Because you've been out there.
Right.
You've been representing,
advocating for the restoration of formerly incarcerated people. Advocating. Guess what? The LGBT Commission and also the LGBT parade and various different resources that we had that we never had before. I was at the table.
Sure.
Okay? And brought other people to the table.
Sure.
And that's why we got the LGBT Commission. That's why we got the LGBT community centers.
You were at the bedrock.
Right?
Thing.
Absolutely.
Sure.
Along with LaQuetta Nelson and Reverend Janice Jackson and a
host
few
of
of
them,
a host of us.
Yeah.
But it's always that
you don't feel that you're getting the credit for your work.
Well, I don't look to people.
Sure.
I look to the hill.
Sure.
With help comes my health.
Yes.
My strength.
Sure.
So if I was to be concerned about individuals, my health come from above.
Sure.
You know, the
sure.
God of my
Yeah,
understanding.
yeah. Well, I've seen you for years out there, and you you was consistent, and I would see you different places, and with different activist people, leaders and stuff, marching, up and down the street, and I could see the seriousness in your eyes, and so when we.
Did you see my eyes now? I got my dark shades on.
I think you always wore some dark shades.
I always
right?
wore, right?
You had some smaller ones before.
Not that I'm trying to hide it.
But that's
But
that's some people. Some people that love shades or whatever. I'm just happen not to be one that like them. I don't like shades for myself. You know what I mean? I'll put them on for a minute, but I can't sport them all day. But there's people that love them. That's their thing. Yeah. But getting back to what we were talking about, that at this point of challenge, if January was the election for the individuals that's in office down in Newark, you don't see anyone down there that reached across the lines during this water problem that
failed leadership. No other way. Failed leadership. Listen, this is actually the worst administration.
Wow.
Okay.
That you've ever
met.
With.
And I know all of them all too well. Mm-hmm. Worked on most of their campaigns to elect them and re-elect them. Mm-hmm. Sat. I mean, me and Mildred Crump, who's mm-hmm. the council president, used to sit and go to her office hours and build and talk with her. And now it's like, we are at odds with each other.
Distant.
And distance from each other. And as I always say when I go to the council meeting,
I see
failed administration,
right.
No other way to describe it.
Let me ask you this right here. If January was actually the election for all the politicians down there, would you be comfortable with a whole new administration?
I would say yes, because guess what?
And you would feel secure because?
I would say a whole new administration.
And they have to learn the job.
Well,
they would have to. Well,
we had the chance to elect leaders.
Sure.
Because like you said, you was in, and I seen you in the compounds of Gail Cheney Field's headquarters. Because I was there, and that was a woman that I supported, a woman that I know that is had integrity. She had a love for her city, and she just tell it like it is, straight with no chaser. And so she's honest. And though some politicians have some BS with them, and I know all too well a lot of their BS, but I was in her compounds, and that was somebody that I wanted to see along with the individuals who she had on her team.
Sure.
They were leaders that I know from the community that are actually still doing the work in their own prospective rights.
Well, let's announce this right here, that your talk show will be aired on Basa News, and that perhaps maybe that could be one of your shows, that you pull all of them together.
That'd be great.
That could be.
If we could get them all together,
well,
have
they been helpful with the water problems? With the water problem we have in Newark?
Well, most of them are doing what they can do, on their accord.
Sure. And
within their own perspective. Okay. But this thing with this water thing has gotten so bad that, as you see, they throwing people out the council meeting. I'm banned right now for 60 days
I don't want to
temporarily into this whole situation.
Now, do you have to go to court
get investigated? It's actually being investigated, but I'm quite sure then 60 days might be up and before they finish the investigation. But if they're looking into it right now.
So in 60 days you can go back.
60 days I could go back.
Okay.
But it's not gonna stop me from voicing my opinion.
I would like to be there when you come back. I would definitely like to see.
Okay, so 60 days from the 18th.
The 18th of September.
Of September.
Okay.
It's my time to come back, and of course, you know.
You talking November sometime or December?
Right. It should be November sometime.
Okay.
Yes, it was September, October, November.
Now, what was the actions and the reason that they kicked you out?
Well, this water situation was where I was getting ready to say that this thing got people running scared and running for cover because to me it's governmental terrorism and political repression and police terrorism at its worst going on in the city because of people who want to raise their voices about an issue that is most important to them. The water. Our lives it depend on water. Okay? And then not only to talk about it, but guess what? The contaminants that's in the water, as you see that we have a high level of dementia.
Sure.
We have 40% of the children in Newark that have lead. Okay? We have an aggression worse than I ever seen it.
Sure.
In the city of Newark. You know, people are very much aggressive and, you know, the youth just don't care and they just bitter and angry, which they said is associated with lead. Wow. You know, and then we also have cancer. Sure. A lot of people the rates of cancer, people dying from cancer in the city is at an alarming rate. And it's just something to think about. But guess what? It's something that we should not be silent about.
Sure.
Okay? Do we need more than the activists, the few people like yourself who's covering the issue about lead and the contaminants and issue that's important to the people in the community? Do we need more people, more activists?
Sure.
We need the whole community.
Yes.
Not to be scared, not to be living in fear about what matters the most in your community.
Sure.
And as I always say, if we don't get involved with the politics, some way or another, we could be vocal about it.
Yes.
We can write Congress or write the state. We can do a call for congressional hearings. We could even do a recall.
Sure.
Okay? Which we have now. We are in the recall, the year of the recall.
Wow.
Where we can call a recall. And then not only that, we can also come together as a community to demand transparency and proper oversight.
That's right.
Okay? We can do that. We got petitions out there. We got over, I don't know, it's probably maybe 2,000 to 3,000 signatures right now. Of people who want independent oversight over this water, just as if when we got the petition to petition a federal monitor over the police.
Sure.
It's the same thing. We have petitions, but guess what? It can't just be a few people like yourself who want to cover the community issues and also hear from the community.
Sure.
And I give thanks to you for wanting to hear from the voices of the community, the people who are affected.
Yes.
That's who we should hear from.
Yes.
And those are the individuals who we are calling out. And at the sound of my voice, I am saying to you, residents, if you don't get involved with what's going on in your community, there will be consequences.
Sure.
Consequences. Okay? Consequences. And no elected official. I hold them all accountable.
Sure.
Okay? Every last one of them. No politician, as I always said, is exempt. Okay? And we could go back to the previous administration to find out where their flaws and how were they associated with what is going on with the infrastructure.
That's right.
Every last one of them. It's no need for them to be silent.
Sure.
Okay? And not to be held accountable.
Sure.
We're going to let the accountability lie where it needs to lie.
That's right. I understand.
But guess what? It takes the community to provoke accountability.
That's right.
So that's what we have to do.
Okay.
And I will continue doing that.
Continue.
They can try to silence me all they want.
That's
They
okay.
can ban me from meetings.
Yes.
You can't ban us for a lifetime.
That's right.
Because that's a public place. And they have to follow public law.
Sure.
And the Constitution.
Well, Basa News will continue to interview you, but I just want the people in the public to know that Munirah be to start her own talk show.
Thank you for like wanting me to join on with Basa News too. Have my own talk show. I'm just honored. It's an honor.
I think it's time.
It's an honor.
I think it's time. I think it's time. I think it's time for people to see you in a more brighter light, if you will, where.
Yeah, because I've been hitting.
You've been hitting.
They've been trying to marginalize and ostracize me for too long, right?
Yeah. So I think that it's time now.
And I thank you.
That with all your skill and things, and people like yourself, some of these universities, and I often say this to Salam Ishmael, that you guys have been out here.
Oh yeah, Salam too.
And I said,
he's ostracized.
Yeah, and I just say this right here that some of these universities, and I send a word out to the audience and things, and that perhaps maybe you could call them in, invite them to speak, and give them in a ministry we call an offering, but you can give them a stipend, to let them speak to the young people that's in the university, because they need to hear this. They need to know that there's people out here, whether they're by themselves or tied together, that they're fighting for the rights of people yet unknown and unborn.
Yes.
They need to know that there's
voice
people.
Of the voices.
Yes, the voice of the voices. They need to know that there's people out here that's really fighting for them, and that gives a young person, a young mind, something to really work with. Again,
see somebody reaching back, right?
Yes, again.
Absolutely.
Zechariah Jackson.
I thank you.
I'm happy.
I thank you, my brother.
Yes.
Peace and blessings to you.
Bless you.
I wish your show a success too.
All right.
Thank you.
Again, Zechariah Jackson, Newark, New Jersey. Newark and its water problems. Good night.
Peace.